Okay, so there's a lot of people coming out right now, and just so you know, they're all guilty. All these people. Okay, so when I started my research like eons ago, these are like all the people that had allegations, like a lot of people, and then it was trailing, and I said, oh no, they're all guilty. But I've been saying it's organized crime because from the initial point when things had happened, and it's government that was over here promoting it. So there's a whole number of things I'm going to show you guys. So TMZ, God, they pull out Ray J of all people, another bad person. He's like, they're processing the claims before they speak out. Like they're all innocent and they have no clue. And, this, it's almost like, guys, be quiet because of the feds. Some bullshit. But look at all the people that are involved that they showed pictures of. Okay, so we have Ray J, we have the Kardashians who promoted being on children. Let's see, Machine Gun Kelly, that pile of crap. That one is one of the biggest open. I'm into kids. What's the problem? And I'm going to use all these pedophiles as an example because they never got in trouble. They're a bunch of white dudes, and then now they're getting in trouble, right? We're going to go through that, and then Kanye's a pile. You know what? Travolta's up in here. Madonna's up in here. Madonna has allegations. She has allegations of doing things against people's will. I don't know what further. There were some further things in the background, which I don't know if they're consensual. Are they out of place? Did something happen? I don't know. But these are some of the people that have been in this universe. But I pulled a story too because Howard Stern, I guess, was invited to his party. It was kind of hilarious because I was like, it's kind of like Scientology, right? So if you're not in the in crowd, then you're not allowed inside the cult. And that's basically the thing of this whole joke of this whole industry. So if you don't go rubbing knobs with these people and play the game, like there is a game, and you can't say that anybody raped you, you're automatically out. And because they all rape kids, okay? They do. They're in the open saying it. They're like, there's nothing wrong with it. And we're going to let our kids get raped by some other celebrities. They were in the open with this for decades. I mean, that thing started probably since forever. But when I started going at this, it was a little over 2 decades ago that there was all these people saying this. Like I said, they weren't saying I'm a liar. What they were saying was there's nothing wrong with it. And I was trying to stress this and how people take it in that they're calling us liars. I go, but they're just saying that to get out of trouble. That's all they're doing. And so then Aiken, I mean, what the hell? I mean, the dude, his history is awful. And he's like, yeah, hopefully this will be a learning experience. I'm like, did you learn anything? Absolutely not. Okay, so, and then let's pray. Yes, Prey. So, yeah, these people are full of shit. So, also, there's a whole bunch of other celebrities coming out because there's other stories that are coming out, like the child TV stuff and all that. There's literally people coming out making shit up. Like, okay, so they know they're a victim, right? So, like I said, most of these perpetrators have been victims at a point. Everybody's getting raped out here. So regardless if the perpetrator got touched, it's not an okay thing to go rape other people. But that is the concept. I mean, that's pretty much what's going on. So they'll throw out, like they want to talk about how they got touched, but they want to try to get away from their conduct on other people, right? So they'll do something like, oh yeah, I totally got touched all up in here. Oh, and then this other thing, which nobody even knows about, which legitimately sounds like they're jumping ahead of a story where a claim may come out later. So I'm watching those ones because that did not fit right in the story. So yes, not to say that those things can't happen. It's just that there's a lot of people in here that have been covering up the whole time and they have allegations. And one of the ways that they're trying to get out of the allegations is pulling up when they got touched, like at an earlier point, right? And trying to cover up their conduct of raping all of us and okaying the conduct, making excuses why they didn't say anything. I'm telling you, if I've talked for over 2 decades, you're just making an excuse, and that's not going to fly by me. So these people got rewarded by covering up, helping others, doing all this crap, and watching other people go down and doing nothing about it, right? This is how organized crime happens, okay? Because everybody just partakes. They're partaking in the worst fucking way. Now, oh yeah, so Diddy had this party. He invites Howard Stern. And I guess Howard Stern's not allowed to go in the house. This is just hilarious. I was like, oh, I didn't even know you have to go through, like, it's like backstage, right? Where, like, these artists, sometimes they'll have their own special place backstage, and then you could go backstage, and then you could sometimes go into other areas, and then you have to be allowed to go into another area. So you could constantly be backstage. That's what I was trying to explain to you guys, is that I was with this team for like a decade, right? But they kept me separated from a lot of people. And so you could sit there and be through this whole tour and like not one time certain people see you. Or if they do see you, I mean, you're not hanging out with them and chatting and stuff, but they do this thing. So they have this like level of shit. And the people that I was with, that's not even Michael Jackson's clan, but I guess Michael did the same thing where it's like, you know, everybody's backstage, but he's somewhere else. He's gone somewhere else, right? So apparently Diddy's parties that he invites you to, you have to be beckoned into the home, which was just hilarious to hear, and it's ridiculous. And his parties usually consist of McDonald's, like nothing classy. It's just like, what the hell? I don't know. It's just, I would be embarrassed to have a party with all these like really rich people and you go serve them McDonald's. I don't know, but this is their bullshit. And I was saying, I was like, yeah, if I made a joke of it, they would send their like goons after me. It's like, you're laughing at McDonald's. Yeah, I almost got like beat up for laughing one time. Some guy brought that shit up. He's like, one of these days I'll take you to McDonald's. And I thought he was like fucking kidding. Like, who says that? And I'm laughing, and the guy went completely psychotic. Ted Bundy, all the way right there. I don't know why, man. That's crazy. Anyways, but McDonald's for kids, right? Okay. So Howard needed to use the bathroom, and he tried to go into the house, I guess, and then they wouldn't let him. And so then he really had to go to the bathroom, and he left. Which, ironically, it sounds like the funny story when I first was was backstage with Ronnie from, you know, Dio and all that in the 90s. And I was like, oh, I could go meet him because he's just hanging out. But it wasn't like there was a special place, like I couldn't go past somebody to not meet him. It was that I need to use the restroom. And the restroom that they pointed me to was a room I think he was in. And they had the bathroom door like wide open to them with the fan in the door. And I opened the door and I go, oh my God. I'm not going to the bathroom in there, number one. And two, why is there a fan in the doorway of the bathroom where they're all sitting? There was this whole thing to it. So I go, oh my God, I can't use the restroom. So I couldn't meet him. And so then I shut the door and I went down and I told the other band members, I was like, okay, I'm going to leave and stay. You know, this whole day, blah, blah, blah. So I left, right? So that was the earlier time. But no, there was no separation. Like I had to go past another group of people to go meet him. At least not in that thing. But at a later thing, they were in separate areas. And then I had to go through this other thing to go in there. Just so you guys know how some of that shit works. Because it's not like, I know people, there's probably people that dream of going backstage. No, you don't. It's boring. No, but you go backstage and there was like, yeah, so you may not even meet the people that you think you will. And yeah, so sometimes they do separate all the groups and the people, you know. It's usually like all the bandmates and everybody else hanging out. And then the main singer with the biggest fucking ego is like off somewhere else because he thinks they're too cool for the room. That thing. But in that case, I don't know why they were in a separate area at that time. They were just kind of hanging out, talking with other people. And then, I don't know, they were just in a separate area in that other thing. And then, on the other team for the 10-year thing, I can't answer that, probably because I don't know, he was not around anyone. and he had to be beck and called, and he used the perpetrator assistant to tell people to get away. So he used him as his pawn, right? So he would tell people, he's like, okay, that's enough. You can't talk to him anymore. So he got to be the dick for him, even though that's the boss. The singer is telling him to be that asshole. He is. He's sitting there telling him and dictating him to tell people to get out of there. And it was seen in one of the media. There was a media people that were talking with them. And my perpetrator goes to the media and tells them, that's enough. You shouldn't be asking. I don't know. He said some crazy shit, my perpetrator, to the media. And he was telling them to get away and all that. But I was telling you guys, I go, that's because the boss there is too much of a swine. He's a coward. So he uses his dude right there to get rid of them, right? So he doesn't look like the jerk. He has to look like the nice guy, right? And it's not him. Yeah, so that's so you guys understand that character is so fake. And yeah, so that's exactly what happened. And so I had to deal with the dick, right? The assistant the whole time. And so, yeah, that's why he kept saying, he's like, I'm closest to them. So talking to anybody else is like ridiculous. Yeah, so I had to deal with that. And so he got to control the narrative the entire time. And then control who I got to meet. And who it got to be around. Or who gets to be around me. So it's both ways, right? And so all these people were trying to pretend like they know me. They don't know shit about me. And they were separated, so there's no way in hell anybody can come up here and start claiming and making these claims about some bullshit. Mostly when I have proof that I was at these places. So they try to be doing that. That's why I was like, oh God. I go, there's so many fakes up in here. I don't know why they want to jump in my story, though. In my story, like they know something about it. Like they don't. And, so as far as this goes, I'm like, okay, so Howard left and everything like that. I think there was nothing else on that story. But okay, so here's Machine Gun Kelly. Let's go back to something, because I pulled all this stuff up eons ago. I don't even remember what year it was this happened. It was like, shoot. I pulled this before all the gutter map things and all that, I'm pretty sure. Okay, they reposted this in 2022. But it was said a long time ago. And they put this on BuzzFeed to do this big rundown of them, right? And, all those stories that went on to BuzzFeed were all true. They're, like, factually true. So, I mean, they're basically just outing this ring of people separately, right? They're like, oh, here's this person. Here's this person, here's that person. And at the end of the day, they're all friends, right? It's that thing. And they go, I'm not waiting until she's 18. I'll go now. I'm 23, dog. Oh, and by the way, that was around the age of the drug runner for the Michael Jackson pal drug ring over there. So he was basically this pile of shit, and he was human trafficking kids, and he was raping kids and everything else. And this is their mindset. He's a straight up socio. This Machine Gun Kelly. Oh yeah. So let's listen to his justification though of this. It's pretty interesting. But he's also one of P. Diddy's pals, and they were trying to pull him up, and like he somehow is like some innocent bystander here that he should just think about that. Are you kidding? But I question women that are like, oh, I know my guy here is into kids, so, but I don't care because I love him. I mean, what the hell? I would go to therapy. Like, he's out in the open. It's not even, like, this doesn't change, okay? It's not like, oh, he gets older and he no longer is into kids. Like, no, he literally is into kids and he wanted to go at him. And this is California as well, so the fact that the Kardashians and him were promoting this is disgusting. Mostly on a kid. I would be really pissed off at this. Mostly as an adult now that anybody enabled this. So they resurfaced it, and then he discussed his crush on her. And then he's off doing that shit right here, right? Which is gross, right? It's a gender thing. Then he goes, okay, yeah, so she was 17. She's still a minor. She's still a kid. He's like, the musicians went on to say that there's no limits when people are famous, as he lists off artists who had public relationships with underage girls, with kids. with kids. So he's actually pulling out why it's okay because all these other guys did, so why not? And they never got busted, right? So you're saying the truth. You're saying the truth of what we're saying. And you're using it as a justification because you're a disgusting piece of shit white boy. And you're a male supremacist because that's what male supremacist does. And that was promoted biblically in the Bible, and you can shove it up your butt. Okay, so we're going down here. So he does pull, he's like, I don't care who my first celebrity crush was because right now it's Kendall. So he's going on like this. And he's like, God damn, I've said so many other motherfucking times. I hope that I snagged that. Don't let me move to LA because I'm finding her. Like, he's going to be like this stalker, creepy dude. Okay. He's like, I'm counting down the days until Kendall was 18. Who else said some shit like that? Ashton Kutcher, didn't he? Yeah, he'd be going on like that too, right? So this is the crowd. This is the crowd. But when the public sees it, they're all a bunch of pedos. They see nothing wrong with this. This went out a long time ago. I'm telling you, I don't remember when this first came out. There was a clip on Twitter. So this went way back. And I got it. And I was like, oh, nasty ass. Who's this piece of shit? I didn't even know who he was. I think at that time, I don't even know. But they go, I'm not waiting until she's 18, that whole thing. And look at him. And he looks like a pedo boy. I mean, literally, with his little baby face. This is the face I think they're trying to say he looks submissive. Yeah, and that's the one I said he's going to be running to the border. Oh my God, in fact, he looks like the face of that thing I just posted. He's be running to the border, honey. He's wanted. He got some kids. Oh, totally. I mean, that's the look right here. It's a little baby face, but it's not quite the baby face. It's more of the submissive face. Yeah, but I would still question him because of the whole shebangy thing going on here. Yeah, that little boy band look. Okay. Here we go. He's like, I'm 23 and she's 17 and she's celebrity. There's no limits, right? Yeah, apparently not. Apparently not, dude. Robert Plant. So now he starts outing all the pedo rapists. I love it. Like these men, you know what I mean? Robert Plant, who's one of the greatest lead singers ever, dated a girl who was 14. Yeah, so because some other white pedophile male raped a kid and he was allowed to, we're going to use him as an example. So this is what your sons are picking up. And he's being honest because he's a socio. He sees no issue with this. And he goes, an Axl Rose picture below was one of the biggest badasses ever. Dated a girl who was 16 and wrote a song on his first album about the girl that was 16. Then he was getting sued for being a rapist, and he was actually wanted for rape, and he got covered for not even just by law enforcement, but his fucking manager lady. And I told you I was set up to get raped by somebody from their team, from somebody else when I was a kid. Do you think I am happy right now? See, he's such a socio. He only cares what is being allowed, and he's into kids. So regardless of any law, you're into kids. That's disgusting. So this is these guys right here. So he is legitimately pulling out other white men that got away with it because Christians promoted raping children. Because at the time that Axl and all these people were doing all this stuff, the rules and laws were made by Christians. Christians all day long. He concluded, I don't care, say what you want, man. If she's in your bedroom naked and you're 50, you're going. Yeah, so he's speaking that all men, he's telling us that all men are pedophiles. All men are pedophile rapists. Okay, I believe it. That's what he's telling us. He's like, I don't care. Say what you want, man. You're gonna do it. Because you're a pedo. Okay, so you're out and proud and you're saying you're all pedos. He's saying it. The controversial interview has been circulating. Okay, so then the way he had those examples ready to go, it just kept getting worse. Well, he's pulling out the truth. The truth that he's pulling out is disgusting, but he's using that as his validation as to why he's attracted to kids. And that he has no care in the world. They're all sociopaths. Everybody that he pulled out is a socio. A rapist, they're all sociopaths. All rapists are sociopaths. Because nobody would be a rapist unless they had that PD. So, no. And another thing, I read somebody say, I believe in people changing and some bullshit later. Well, that's interesting because that conflicts with the information with the mental health stuff, is that there's actually no cure for that. So, yeah, that's the problem of it. That's why we're talking about it. I go, the last thing you want to do is even create one of these piles of shit, because currently, at this point in time, there's no cure for this. Here's the thing, they go, repulsive, he thinks because he is famous, he can mess with kids. He can. I mean, that's the thing. So what he's saying is he's bragging about the organized crime all over the place. He's like, what? I can touch kids because I'm a celebrity. And they let him, right? They let him. So he's talking out, out of truth. He's a pile of shit, but he's talking out of truth, right? These comments were made a long time ago, and our situation happened decades ago, okay? So, those things were okay because when law enforcement and everybody knew about it, did you see any arrests? I mean, I didn't know. White men have very special treatment, mostly being part of Celebrityville, that they can just go beckon a child from across the state of California for a sexual purpose and lie and make it seem like it's for music business. So, yes, that's what he's saying. It's disgusting, but that's the truth about it, is that government here protects them because they're greed monsters. So then what happened, right? So they all got empowered. And the more you push that message of be anti-female, rape some kids, be a pile of shit socio, they got rewarded. And that's how they're crawling up the scale. And then what's worse about it is because they're power-hungry greed monsters and pedophiles and rapists and piles of shit sociopath bullies, they actually run the entire business. So they get to actually control who gets to go, who gets a record deal, who gets to do anything, right? And if they don't like your story, they will come and target you to hell. So yes, I've been dealing with that the whole time. I've been talking about the whole time. I've been telling the media that's what's going on, because I was like, I'll be damned that I post out a thing saying, does anybody have video of this footage from a club? And I got suspended. That's it. That's legitimately all that fucking post said. And I go, yeah, because there were celebrities there. And the celebrities wanted me to be there because they were trying to set me up. They were trying to set me up to get back at Alice's assistant. They were trying to play a game because these two men are warring over me, believe it or not. And they set up a thing and it pissed them off, and then it turned into this other thing. So these two men be duking it out, and then I end up getting the one harmed in it, right? And it was a setup on me, and they knew it. And so I go, I know people videotape that shit because they would. Because we had members of Kiss there. There was members of, some other rock bands and stuff. There was a lot of people there. Not him pulling up his grooming idols while a third echoed. The way he had those examples ready. Not him pulling up his grooming idols. Yeah, they're looking up to sociopaths that are going after children, and they're like, I want to be like them. So then they're going out, and they're like, I'm going to go after some kids. Because the American government allowed it, and that's the person I want to be. And they're already a socio to be wanting to be raping some kids. I mean, how disgusting. Because even if it was legal, because there are states that make it legal, I mean, do you all go do it because the states go, you can go rape some kids? You know what I mean? Like, it's a choice of the matter, and you're attracted to children. It's just disgusting, but that's what's going on here. So he's like, I didn't think it could be any worse, but he is, and he keeps going. I didn't think it could get worse, but he kept going. I was like, yeah, he's disgusting. So then there was an Eminem thing where he started hitting on his daughter, I guess. And they go, I have to say she's hot as fuck. That's him. He's into kids, so he's not. So, okay, so All these people have allegations, okay? So he's out and proud at this time talking about how he would go for kids. So Machine Gun Kelly walking into Diddy's house, I'm just letting it get this in your head. Machine Gun Kelly going into his house and there's a bunch of minors there and them touching other little boys or anything like that. He has zero problem with it, okay? None whatsoever. Diddy be a big rock star to him. You know what I mean? So these people are not going to say shit because they're down with the shit. He's out and proud down with the shit. He goes, okay, so I saw a picture of Eminem's daughter, man. I have to say, it's just hot as fuck. Okay. Eminem did not respond. He banned him though. Okay, yeah, so there was a feud with that. I do remember that. I was like, I wouldn't let anybody around my daughter going on like that. So, yeah, they had a feud thing for that. Okay, so then, I go, but I want to see women going at Machine Gun Kelly because having daddy do it, doesn't create them to have any respect for us. And yeah, I was saying something about this a long time ago, that women need to be respected when they tell men to fuck off. But what's happening is they're like, we don't listen to women and we're only going to listen to dad or something like that, right? There was a thing about this. I do remember. This is a long time ago. He says that the feud had nothing to do with that. And so then that was even more annoying. Yeah, I mean, I would have a problem. Okay, yeah, so I think this was the other problem with it. I go, oh, well, if he didn't have a problem with him trying to hit on his daughter, that's another problem, right? Because then he's being a bad dad where he's gonna like let some adult male or some older guy go after his minor daughter. Now, in some of these states, they've been allowing that, and his poor mom actually is a victim in that situation. And they did not really view it that way back in the day. And you should feel even far more bad for his mom here in this situation. Yeah, so there's a lot to that. There's a lot to that. So his mom was like basically like a child mom, I guess. And so I don't know if he's passing that on or I don't know. Questions there. Okay. Beyond that. So screw these people. But that's what I'm saying. I go, they pull up all this. So then, yeah, they had all these parties from the 50th birthday. But if you look through their history, you see some same people, right? So when you go through these stories, try not to look, like, there'll be things like this. Let me see something. Here, let's pull up the party story. Because TMZ, see, I said TMZ had all that stuff, but they don't see nothing wrong with none of this shit. Okay, so I don't know who half these people are. Some of these people, I mean, unknown to me, right? But some of those people could play a big part in the story, but none of us know them because they're not celebrities, right? Okay, so these people, I don't know why she's standing all weird like that, but okay, so they've been around forever. Like the early on, it was the Britney, Paris, all those people in the early. It was like early 2000. I didn't see too many from way after that, so I can't answer any of that. I just know from the earlier initial portions when they were all being evil as hell. And then I mean, come on. Okay, so we're gonna go over here. These aren't the best ones because what matters is from like way early on when nobody got busted, everybody be out doing whatever, when they're like, it's all good, it's all fine, it's all okay to do this conduct, right? Like more out in the open where nobody cared because they're all promoting rape some kids and all that shit, right? So you go back into the story and then, you know, at this point, I think a lot of people kind of separated from them except for Snoop. I was just like, Snoop just goes anywhere. It's just like, I don't know, dude. And then we got this going on. There's been a lot of crazy stuff in the background with some of these people. This. I'm like this. Now, they've been calling them out, though, for a while. I don't know what they did. I was kind of pulling up some past history, and I guess, you know, they're pretty violent, or he is. I don't know all the whole story with that one. But yeah, they keep pulling up these two right here that they should get in trouble. So I was like, yeah, I don't know. And then it made me pull up some weird ass thing where she's like, you made me a woman. I'm like, oh God, gross. What is this? Yeah, and I guess people attracted. So I was like, okay, yeah, I guess I don't know. This. I'm like, this. I like this. Um, It kind of has this remnants of, it reminds me of the Nygaard thing with this whole like 50s, like 50 years of this. And then Diddy's like 50, honey, 50, 50, 50, 50, you know, this thing. Okay, so I guess it's just his damn birthday. It's all such a surprise for me. I paid for it all. Okay, I don't know, but yeah, but this isn't gonna show you much because some of these people you could kind of tell like some of these people are just like, come on in, whatever, whatever, whatever. No, it's to go through the. You can go through Getty, you can go through past news stories. And I always say some of the best places to get information is actually in the comments section. Mostly pre I would say pre anytime, but when you start hitting pre 2017, that's when you start getting the real shit because pre the Me Too stuff, like really big when that stuff hit, um people in the industry had used the comments in forums to expose a lot of these people. So, and I was one of them because in the day that I came out, against my will, I was searching. Well, initially, what I was trying to do was search for anybody else that had business dealings with the camp. So, the post is still there. Back then, they didn't have social media. So back then, they just had forums and those news group things and everything else. And so I went on to one that was very specific to the camp. And so I posted a thing out there going, did anybody ever have any business things with these guys? That's what I asked for, business things. So it's not about fan shit. So I was like, any business things, anything. And then it just attracted a bunch of like goony fans. You know what I mean? Like they're just fans. But I was trying to find out, I was reaching out because in this universe, there's nobody to reach out to. And, so I was trying to do that. And so they started coming to me with other stories that had nothing to do with this thing right here. But yeah, and then people just like being okay with what happened. So anyway, I reached out to somebody else that was trashing the perpetrator. And I thought, oh, they might be good to talk to because they must know something. Because why would you be trashing them, right? Because nobody else trashed him. I never heard anybody say in the public anything bad about them. So I was like, well, why is this lady trashing him, right? So I reach out to her and she starts pretending to be something bigger than she really was. And that she had ran a television show, basically on cable for some rock thing or something like that in New York. And I was like, oh, okay, so maybe she does. I don't know what she knows over there. So we started chatting, and then I kind of ran down, like what happened. And then she's like, yeah, I'll get to the bottom of this thing. I go, yeah, you go do that. But honest to God, it didn't cross my mind that she would just forward it to him. I'm like, I can literally call him right now. So she forwards the whole letter to him, and then it tailed off what happened to me today. So I lost my job. They were sitting there targeting me, trying to make me homeless, making up stories online. They erased his response. That was like number one big, huge thing right there. So he made a response, which didn't really look like he ran it through a lawyer, and he just threw it out there and sent it to her. He did a copy paste thing, and he sent it to her. And so he basically publicly responded. I was like, we cannot have people running around thinking that that's anywhere near the truth. But even if it were, he basically admitted to doing what he did. He was just trying to play innocent about it. and it was very in your face that it was about business, music stuff. Um, so now that it's in the public arena, government had every that's like an intel, okay? I actually should not need to, because you technically don't need to just run to government and say, hey, there's a pedo ring over here, or anything like that. It was in the public arena, so anybody that runs across it in a public thing or the website sees it, then it really is on them to report that to law enforcement or anybody else like seeing some situation like that. Instead, when I was actually breaking down the story and saying what it was like or me as a kid, and they totally deleted it and tried to help cover them up. So some of those sites were GeoCity, Shitties. There was a number of sites. They were owned by bigwig CEOs. I don't know who. I don't even understand how they had access to be able to do that. Because it was just insane. So basically, their team was telling them to take it down, and then they would take it down, and then they had no legalities as to why they could take it down or nothing. They were just doing it because they're pals, I guess. They're just making threats because they're celebrities. So they were basically saying and promoting that I cannot tell my story. And then also in one of the sites, all it did was take his response, right? I took his response and I put it up and I started answering back because he put it out to other people. And I was like, oh, no way. So we're going to answer back publicly. So I broke it down and I said, that's not true. And here's all the passes and something, right? I actually showed physical proof to counter the claims that he was trying to make. And then all of a sudden, they went and took down my site. Like, honest to God, it was the most ridiculous, stupid thing. There's nothing offensive about it. Nothing. It's me answering what they were asking. And then a couple of other fans had asked me a couple of things. And I said I had no clue, no knowledge of that fact there. I don't know if it's a fact. I don't know what he was doing. Because they were making claims that he was signing things for his boss. And I go, it's possible. Because what he said was in the response as well, he says that I was given the right to speak for him. So I was like, well, he could play a game with that and say I have the right to sign something for him because he doesn't want to do it. I don't know if that ever occurred. I'm just saying the possibility was there and somebody did question it because they seen some conduct. And I go, I would not surprise me at one bit. But I couldn't verify if he did that or not. So you could only go by his comments, which his comments to me made it even more questionable to that. I don't know if that person even saw that portion of things, but if you read his statement to me, you would question, oh, well, was he allowed to do that because his boss told him to? Yes, that's very possible. But I don't know if that actually happened. I didn't lie about anything. I didn't make up anything. I was helping out people with answers to something if I knew about it, but if I didn't know about it, I'm not going to sit there and make something up about it. That wasn't one that I could throw out the window. I was like, I actually have no idea, and it wouldn't surprise me. It's just that. And I go, well, he should answer that, though. Why wouldn't you answer it, though? Okay, so some fan, like, legitimately has a question about that. Like, they're getting mad about it over there, and it's just like, I would just answer it. I was like, is it true or not true? No, if it's not true, you say no, right? That's it. They were totally flipping out. And I was like, well, I don't know. Wow. I mean, does that mean a yes that you probably did? Because if you won't answer it, then I would say that's a big maybe they did do that. That was just an additional one. So then there was another accusation that had to do with the band member that I went on a date with. And there was a lot of things. So they were throwing out all these different things that legitimately had nothing to do with my stuff. It was kind of like some other stuff on the side. And then, so no other victim came forward, but there was people saying that they had been with the guy, but then they're not telling me their ages. So that's an addition. So they didn't say how old they were. Um, and then I found more information that he had led other people into his home, which he should not be doing. He was leading fans into his home. And then when he passed away, they literally admitted that online. I go, well, that shouldn't be happening from anybody out here. So they're abusing their power in the position that they're in to take advantage of other fans. So for sexual purposes or whatnot, right? And then somebody came out here. I don't know if it's a joke. I still don't know. I don't know if it's a joke or if it really happened with somebody that was just barely 18. I go, oh, so they did that after you were being accused of being with a minor, and that literally doesn't help you now because you're 50 years old and you're with a teen. So that's not a good cover for you, dude. So I don't know. I don't know if that was made up just for hell's sake on YouTube for views or if it really happened because they never reached out to me. And the way that I found out about that was because I saw that people were doing a forum on making fun of that person. And I go, wow, what the hell? These people are awful. Like I was reading the comments about them. And then somehow it came up in all this. And I'm like, I don't know who the hell that is. Is she making fun of me? Because that ain't going to happen. So I don't know. I don't know. The Trish? Yeah, I don't know. And I go, well, that's not a good cover if you're being accused of being with minors and teens, right? And you go and date a teen way later. Like way later. So I don't even know. I don't know if it's true. I don't know if it's made up. It could be a made up cover because they're fans. But don't know. They didn't answer and they should have been investigated. Like the whole thing should have been investigated because they're sitting there targeting. I don't know if they were in the age of internet. I don't know if they started using their thing to target other people because they targeted me from the internet. So then MySpace came around, and so then there was other things going on there. So I can't answer. I don't have any access to those things and all that. But they should have checked it. So they had a way to stop this whole thing before anything further happened, and then they didn't. And then their team had every knowledge about the person was mentally off kilter. So they knew that, and they didn't do anything about it. And then, like I said, there was all this knowledge. So I know exactly what's going on up in here. So all these people have a lot of knowledge. They just want to cover their own asses. They want to sit there and present themselves as these stupid bad boys. And then when they're getting called out on it, they're sitting there trying to pretend like they're saints. Is this a joke? They're actually worse than the person that they're presenting to you. What else could we say? Nothing. Oh, Diddy's son got sued too in it because, if your dad's a rapist, your sons are going to be pile of shit rapists. I mean, that's it. I was trying to do a thing yesterday, but I was so pissed off. Like, I was so mad that I was like, I don't want to put this out here today. So I did something more funny. But yeah, I was really mad. I'm really mad about it. I'm mad about the whole thing because it says so much, and they're all a bunch of cockroaches, and they're just they're flaring about trying to present themselves that they're not part of stuff and making up stories as they're giving stories about how they're victims. I mean, oh my God. And we've seen this a million times before. It's just perpetrators trying to cover their own ass, and they're just trying to save themselves. That's it. Every man for themselves. Every woman for themselves, too, because there's a bunch of female bullies up in here. So I should point out that was men's goal because even Johnny Depp, he looked at that pedophile rock star dude and he's like, oh yeah, I want to be a rock star and have a little kid on my shoulder. Like they were all doing this crap. I said their dream was to be a human trafficker. It really was, and go after kids. They're modeling their lives because they see it so young from the environment that, they're attracted to kids. Like it's a grooming thing, I guess, on little boys too. Like this is what it should look like, dude. You should want to get a little kid on your lap like the whole time. And you little girls are just little sluts and you're here for their sexual pleasure. I mean, basically, this messaging in the industry has been around long before I was even here. Because if you go back into the early days of the 50s and the 40s, all those things where they're like, oh, my little baby girl. It's so disgusting. The love songs, because they're to children. And, yeah, there's a lot wrong. A lot wrong in that stuff. Yeah, and then they just let it happen. And then there's all these older grown women that then allowed us to get sexually abused because they got sexually abused and it was promoted on them, and they still cannot get a clue, and they'll still continue their bullshit on us instead of like go get massive therapy. It should have never happened. Though at least in the story that Jeb kept pulling up as his, like, I guess his dream model life of Jerry Lee Lewis, I guess it is, whatever that crap is. I guess one of them was talking about how horrible that was. Like, you know, like they understand it. It's just really bad. The entire thing about it's just this sociopath guy, and it's just, I'm gonna go get this kid, and then you're gonna take care of everything. Like, what the hell? It was crazy. But yeah, there's stories all over the place. It was never good. It never was, because you're talking about the era of slavery that never went away, which that included females. Included females.